Hey, it's Chris Leisure Games. As always, I say, if you're paying for something, you better hope somebody is actually getting their money's worth from it. You know? It's just common business sense, right? Even in this hobby. Let's do this. So, roundup this week. Where are you at with things? What are you backing? What are you not backing? It's a little bit slimmer pickings this week, but don't be fooled. There's still some things to talk about and some things that are heavy hitting. And now, especially all of a sudden, end of April, beginning of May, GameFound is finding its swagger, I guess, if you want to call it that, if for lack of a better term. Are we going to see, as GameFound has now opened up to all creators, more? Are we going to see bigger? Are you going to start to see more foot traffic there? I mean, when you say crowdfunding nowadays, I mean, Kickstarter has basically become the verb for crowdfunding, right? And so how do you get past that when you have like, when I'm going to search for something, I Google it. When I'm going to use a Q-tip in my ear, it's not a Q-tip, but that is the thing that gets associated with it. How do you change that rhetoric that is out there, not only just within our hobby, but without our hobby? So if I say Kickstart, more people are going to recognize it than, oh yeah, GameFound. I said GameFound to one of the guys in my group this past week, and he's like, GameFound, what are you talking about? This is a guy I've been gaming with for like the past 3 years, 4 years. And he's like, GameFound, what is that? So that's the barrier you got to breach. That being said, let's take a look at what we got this week. First up, we're just going with the biggest one, the out of print, new edition, fantastic Eno tool looking game, 25th Century Games Raw. Again, you know, this isn't a game that's going to break $1 million, but this is a game that a lot of people have had on their wish list that haven't been able to get it because it's been out of print or because the secondary market prices have been so freaking high. And now you have a chance to get it. You can deluxify it if you want. You can non-deluxify it, but you can get your hands on it. And that's the most important thing. Check out my video from earlier in the week. But this is a freaking fantastic game. I never really played Raw. I've heard about it. When people ask about auction mechanics, you know, this is the one that inevitably comes up. This is a classic from that sense, but it's hard to measure a classic when you don't have access to it or nobody has the ability to play it. And so now that I've had the ability to play it, I say, wow, this is a freaking amazing game. How is this fallen out of the Board Game Geek Top 100? Because this is a fantastic game, not only with 2 players, but the auction dynamic, even with the 2-player, even up to 5-player, is great. And it holds up and it holds true even 23 years later, because yes, that's right, it was released in 1999. Now, again, the question is, with any sort of Euro-esque game, and this isn't really Euro-esque, but this is akin to them, do you need a deluxified version? Because you're getting wooden tiles, you're getting wooden auction pieces, you're getting a wooden freakingly massive, huge Raw in the first place. And again, the deluxe version won't be widely available at retail, so if you want to get it, you get it now. And this is probably going to cost you less than what one of the older editions that's out of print is going to cost you on the secondary market. So, you know, that's the comparison I use, not the comparison of, yeah, I can get it cheaper at retail if I get the free shipping through one of the online. Yeah, you can. You totally can. No qualms about that whatsoever. But sometimes you bling, sometimes you don't. Where's the bling line for you? And if the bling line is here, I've seen people say it already, they're okay with that because this has been a grail game for a lot of people. You're getting everything you need. It's cardboard, and you're getting, again, these wooden sun discs, which, again, these are wooden. These are fantastic, and you get everything you need to know. And this is a ton of tiles, by the way. If you missed my video, I dumped the whole thing on my lap, and yeah, it's massive. And then if you want everything wooden with a little bit of deluxeification here with all the wooden auction tiles as well, you can get that too. So that's okay. If you want it, great. If you don't want it, that's also okay. It's not a complicated game. It's a very straightforward game. Draw tiles, add it to the track, decide when you want to do an auction, bid on the auction, win the auction, get all the tiles, lose the auction, keep your token, and then rinse and repeat until either everybody's used up all their tiles or Little Boy Ra gets all the way to the end. If Little Boy Ra gets all the way to the end, then the round ends prematurely and you just don't get to do any more auctions and you may lose out on the tiles. And the tiles are what we do for the set collections. The set collections not only give you bonuses each round of the 3 rounds that you're playing, but also in the fact that at the end of the game, there's going to be one that scores completely differently and only at the end of the game. And if you just don't have certain ones, you're either going to not score ones that you already have, or you're going to potentially lose points as well. So there's that dynamic of when do I get it? When do I not get it? Disaster tiles, add a little bit of take that in there. And again, that's all you need to know. I'm on there right there. Whoa, that's a big picture of me. Okay, Wasn't expecting that. They said they'd put a quote on there. Was not expecting of that. I mean, again, I stand by this quote. He asked me for a quote, and I felt that strongly about this game. So that if you really are questioning this, no paid preview. This is how I really feel about this game. This game is never going to be out of my collection now that I have access to a copy. El Grande, area majority, raw auction. Boom. There you go. That's all you should need to know. It's that much of a good game. Shipping is going to be what it's going to be. Again, say what you want about that. So take that into account. 25th Century Games, I don't think there's any question of the game itself. It's just whether or not you want to risk getting it for a slightly cheaper price with less deluxeifications later, or deluxeifications now that you might not be able to pick up if you really find out that you like it. I'm looking at you, Bullet. That was my game. So there you go. That is Ra. Now, again, interestingly enough, the next game we're going to is up on the banner here. Euthia, Torment of Resurrection. And here we go to the tab. You're getting a new expansion along with this. Again, this is killing it. This has at about $500,000 within the first 24 hours, which really goes to show you that this game sort of was poo-pooed, sort of like flew under the radar, and sort of had the concern of there's too much going on initially to be a cohesive game that would add up, because, again, when you have games that have this much overhead and this many moving parts and this many moving pieces and this many things to keep track of, and you have Mage Knight basically made more deluxe or more extensive, can you actually make that make sense? Well, the consensus seems to be yes right now, because I've seen people comparing it to the aforementioned Mage Knight, as people have been looking for Mage Knight's sequel successor 2.0 years and years in the making. The Star Trek one didn't quite do it for people in that sense, just a different thematic incorporation, and now you've got Euthia sort of nipping at its heels. Now, again, this is a massive game, and this is a massive freaking price. The ultimate bundle right here, 350 freaking euros. That's more than I expected. So I have no clue what that entails and why that one is so much more. But, I mean, here are some quotes. All the big people, all of the big names that you know about on crowdfunding, all of them right there, all in one square, essentially. It's a reprint. And you're getting a little bit extra in terms of, wow, that's a lot of extra stuff if that's all different. Fierce Powers, Crawling Shadows. So cooperative and solo gameplay, 3 scenario long struggle. This is a game that I would love to have in my collection. I just worry that I would never be able to hit the table with it, because I look at this game sort of like Mage Knight, and I worry that it's mostly a solo game. But now that if you add a cooperative element to it, again, I just worry about the Mage Knight dilemma, essentially, that when you play Mage Knight, right, the recommendation, if you go to Board Game Geek or anywhere else, I mean, there's a reason it's the #1 ranked solo game from the Solo Gamers Guild. It's because when you start to get 2, 3, and 4, the overhead, the bog down, the delay, the analysis paralysis, the time length to play it exponentially increases. And so that's what you worry about with a game like this. But this is the ultimate bundle. You get a little bit of bling. Now, it's not a miniature game, but it has miniatures. Do you need miniatures in a non-miniature game? That's the question. And it has a lot more miniatures. Someone told me that it wasn't a miniature game, and I said that it had miniatures, and I guess this is a lot of miniatures for a non-miniature game, folks. Now, I'm assuming one of these bundles down here does not have them. I would assume the ultimate bundle. Okay, Euthia standees right there, 115 euros. Again, for the amount of stuff I've seen that is coming in with this base game, people were saying it was essentially like unboxing and putting together worse than Glenmore 2, if you're familiar with that. Like spending a couple hours punching out and organizing this. A couple hours, folks. And that's not actually a bad price point. We're only 14 euros between the difference of the standees and the miniatures. So I understand that. And wow, 215 gets you that. So gameplay all in. So is this the non-miniature then? Again, that's a lot of money. That's 300 euros. And so the question is, do you have another lifestyle game in your collection that you need? Because that's what this is. This is akin to Mage Knight, only more of a lifestyle game than Mage Knight even is. Because Mage Knight, as all of its concerns, criticisms, and features, is that it's not really considered a lifestyle game. You know, you play it solo for an hour or two and you're good. You can play it again, but it's not like I need to play this one so many times in order to learn it, in order to play it. And that would be the biggest question. The other question is, do you need, I guess we'll just use this little chart, do you need all of this stuff? Do you need core game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 expansions? Do you need all 5 expansions? I don't know. I'm not as familiar with it. I just don't know. Now, this is gameplay add-ons bundle. So this is just the new stuff right here, essentially. And I mean, those look cool. It looks like freaking awesome. Like, it's a game that I would love to be able to play. And, you know, I'm going to watch this one very closely. I'm probably going to watch some video because I don't actually know how it plays. I don't get the greatest sense of, okay, here's all the stuff, and there's tons of unique playstyles and asymmetry and how you want to interact, and just tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff. But the mechanics of it, is it too grindy for me? Is it too nitty gritty like Iridia? Is it too open world? Is it too much to manage like when you're managing solo Sleeping Gods and doing 9 characters? Again, what is your threshold for that, and what are you okay with? And that's where I think something like this actually is a greatly benefit for someone like me seeing it the second time around, because now there's enough people out there with enough content for me to digest and not wonder, because I can see the dynamics of what's there in the first place. And that's both the dangerous as well as the alluring thing in a game and a campaign like this. So, I mean, I have no doubts about why it's doing so well, and I have no doubts. I mean, there's tons of videos here. Wow, a lot more videos than I even expected. Apps, art, everything you need to see there. So, again, shipping is going to be what it's going to be. The Ultimate Bundle actually is no shipping. Wow, USA is actually not shipping cost-wise at all. Yeah. Now that's interesting. August to November 2023. So you're essentially going to be getting this in a year and a half. You okay with that too? You can play all your other lifestyle games between now and then. Anyway, that's Euthia. I highly recommend you check that out as well. These first 2 are my picks of the week, just so you know. Now we have to go back to Euthia right after we finish Euthia, because Euthia was just canceled. Now, again, this is going to be a whole nother video. I'm going to do a whole nother video on this. I'll tell you this. It's going to be coming out next week. Euthia, cancellations, funding goals. I'm going to tell you right there. Over $500,000. They said they needed about 6,000 backers, 6,000 pledge levels in order to make not the logistics, but the monetary side of things sort of flow. Now, there's a whole lot of questioning. There's a whole lot of wondering. Again, I think the people were already saying, in terms of the thing I just highlighted there at the very bottom, we'll get to this in a second, the shipping. The shipping and the VAT was already mostly included in the price of the games. And so people were maybe looking at the price of the games is the assumption of being them, even on my first view around. But if you look, I mean, again, VAT's already included. So this isn't horrible already for that. I'm assuming. You guys in Europe can correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, for the US, it was already all included for shipping. So again, that's the big question, is how much of a hit were you taking or willing to take on the shipping? You're shipping a 12 kilogram. If you are an American right now, go do the mental math on that. 2.2 times 12. It's over 25 pounds. A 25-pound game for the Gameplay All-In bundle. So let's go back up here and look at this a second. The Gameplay All-In bundle was 299 euros. So you're shipping a 25-pound game for that? I mean, it's a lot. But where are the margins? I have no idea. Apparently the margins needed to be met with at least 6,000 though. So it'd be interesting to see how they come back around. Now they said maybe, maybe not, but it'll come back. It'll come back. If it's in that much demand and that's money left on the table potentially, it's just how different is it going to be and what are going to be the differences? Do you go to something like P500-esque for crowdfunding with something like this? Do you scale something back? Do you do just expansions? Do you not even offer base game? I have no idea. This is completely outside my wheelhouse, but expect more content to be on this side. I know Alex from Board Game Co. was just querying publishers in one of the groups I'm in the other day about some of their experiences and monetary values in terms of that margin-esque conversation. So I would expect that he'll have a video out on that next week as well. So again, very interesting, very surprising, and yet with the course of things over the last year, not surprising at all at the same time. Next up, we have The Flood, Noah, and the Euro game, if you will. Already 200% funded, so it's very interesting. Let's see what this game is actually about, because I have no idea in terms of the gameplay. It was very opaque to me when I was doing the preview last week of what it actually entails. Interesting quote here already. Definitely a top 10. A top 10 what? Free deluxe pledge module if you are getting on Kickstarter. So, okay, beast module. The question was, what was the price point going to be? Because they had a lot of the miniatures that were in the preview pictures, and it looks like at least they're offering it separately. So again, standard versus deluxe. And the all-in gets you metal coins in a game mat and a 5th to 6th player expansion there and a free module. Now the free module, that's a little disappointing that the free module is basically locked in. Maybe you can get it as a separate add-on, but it looks like it's, at least based on these pictures, locked in gameplay-wise with the miniatures. And I hope that's not the case. We'll scroll down here and see in a second. Investor, okay, we're going to skip that pledge level. Dice roll, resource management, token movement, building, trading, developing. So a lot of stuff going on there with a lot of words, but how does it actually work? Okay, here we go. Survey. Choose a location, build. Roll dice, move the mammoth. Use resources to build an upgrade, build the ark, and get all the animals on board and survive the flood. Okay, that doesn't really tell me enough. Let's take a look at this rulebook. So it's only a 9-page rulebook, which I'm a little bit confused by. But at the same time, the first 7 pages are all descriptions of some of the interactions, the resources, the upgrades, the tiles, the hexes themselves. And the actual gameplay description of what you're doing on your turn is just everything you see right here, which is kind of why I'm a little bit confused. Basically, you roll the resources and the dice. Basically, you roll the 3 dice that you're given, the 2 resource dice and the tool die, and collect whatever you get based on those. And then the second part of your turn is just choose what to do action-wise. Move the mammoth, gather resources with the mammoth, or buy, build, upgrade, deploy, or take down as one of your other actions, choosing one of those to do. You have to build all stages of the arc and the animal token before the other players and before the lightning token makes it all the way, or basically around the outside. Now again, if you want to see a little bit more detail, you can see what these specific actions are, and it gives you even the example here with the mammoth upgrade and the beasts module that you can utilize, and the bonus board that goes along with it, allowing you to score in new different ways depending on what you're building and how you're building it. And then again, the things you're building and how they're going to change the resources that you get depending on where you land and how you build from there and how the mammoth interacts. So again, this is one where I don't get the best sense of what the gameplay actually is by looking at the rulebook here. So I'd really recommend checking out one of the videos. And as weird as that is, I think you really need to do that. Now, again, the question is, can you get the Beasts module? Yes, you can, $20. So essentially, the miniatures are going to be $10 if you get the deluxe version. I always feel weird about a 5th to 6th player expansion that adds gameplay content because I'm never going to play with 5 or 6 people. It's just me. Big mat. It's fine. Again, upgrades right here. Take it for what you will. So, again, interesting concept. I'm not really sure how I feel. I think you definitely have to watch some of the gameplay right down here to get a sense of things. A few extra unlocks here, screen printed, quality upgrade, a little bit of content. Take that for what you will. I mean, again, it's something different thematically, and it appears to be a solid game. But I don't know. I don't get the best sense of what you're doing and how you're doing it as opposed to some other pages. So I definitely would recommend watching some of the videos to see how you feel about things. Next up is Zerywia. This is a reprint of I think it's Slavic game set in sort of their mythical legends realm sort of aspects. From their sort of mythology aspect. And the interesting part is it has less than 100 reviews on Board Game Geek from the first time around. And the biggest criticism or the biggest comment that I saw on most of them was the rulebook was just not good. And it seemed to be very repetitive in the early parts before you're doing sort of this build up, final boss phase. So take that for what you will. Early bird supporter, first 4 days, Dragon Lore expansion free, 100 pack expansion essentially. So it's going to cost you about $60. What are the different levels we got going on here? The base game plus the expansion is $74, and the collector's edition with, like 4 expansions. Okay. Why get 4 expansions? Or the Hex Drinker is one of those expansions, or the Hexer right there. Key features, alternate board setup, statue. I have no clue what any of that means, because we haven't seen how you're actually playing this mythologically based Slavic game. And the question I always have on these is, I see fantasy games like this all the time. What sets this one apart? Now, the other thing that I saw said about the rulebook is, it's exhaustive, but there were still a lot of questions afterwards. And you can see, this is a ton of stuff. This is a 40-page rulebook here. So I can't give it the depth of, breadth that I would like to, but it goes through the different phases and how you're going to be interacting and how you're going to be going through turn by turn, fighting enemies, exploring across the map, dealing with threats that you come across, resting when you need to heal up, and just how the bad guys are also going to go, as well as doing some of these checks and these quests as you run into them. So again, this is just one where I don't get a good sense of it either. Now again, there's plenty of stuff. We get King of Average and a few other gameplay scenario parts, it looks like, so you can at least see how it plays. So again, that'd be the more interesting thing, because I don't get the best sense of the dynamics of the mechanics on the gameplay page again. I mean, again, save for what you will, because 40-page rulebook is probably going to not lend itself to be that good. But I mean, the thematic incorporation is definitely different than the stuff we usually see. It's just, do you feel comfortable with something that you may not have a good grasp on, and kind of is just different. So if you do, I mean, definitely give it a check out. Next up, we have Avalonia, which is sort of a combination of action mechanic / management in a post-apocalyptic Camelot sort of theme, if you will, with a little bit of maybe zombie-esque. I don't know if that's like a zombie Cthulhu King Arthur, essentially, is what it looks like, right? But the basic back premise is, in terms of what you're going to be doing, trying to do area control through action programming with these cards. You're going to be choosing 2 of these action cards, which are going to give you different options and combinations that you will be able to do. Researching, moving, harvesting, spawning more guys, or attacking those next to you, including having your own asymmetric specialty power, and just rinsing and repeating on a map. Now again, what are the differences between the pledge levels? Deluxe is literally double, but you're getting, looks like, a lot more minis, essentially, with this as well. So that's the big thing there. And the all-in edition is going to give you 2 additional expansions for $65 more than the original. So why get it, though? What makes it different? I mean, the cards, I like that dynamic. I have a Japanese card game that is similar, where it has multiple actions on the card, and you have to resolve them in order, and you have to choose how you want to do that in order to get the best outcome. Do I need miniatures on this game? Area control games are heavy miniature games in the first place. How asymmetric are these factions is always the question. You know, is it just the one power? Is it multiple powers? Again, there's combinations of standees in the standard edition with the miniatures. Do you need the miniatures? I mean, again, like for me, it's a whole lot of plastic that I'm not going to necessarily be able to paint. And here's one of the expansions, the Return of Merlin, and the Berserkers here as well. So again, they run through, or no, sorry, here's the second one, the Traders Alliance. So, okay. I don't know. It's definitely a different vibe. Again, thematically, we're seeing a lot of differences here. Now, the interesting thing when you go over the rulebook here a second, we'll just give a few highlights that I saw. When you're doing the game board, it changes depending on the player count of how you set it up. And then, like I was mentioning with these cards, you are going to be simultaneously choosing 2 cards from your hand, placing them face down, one on top of each other, the top card being the leading card, and so you're doing 1, 2, and 3 actions based on those cards. And so you're covering up the top half of the second card in order to get the bottom half only. And then you are basically doing those actions in initiative order. So I actually really like that mechanic. That's a unique mechanic. You don't see it a lot. Again, the rulebook breaks down what those different mechanics are, like we talked about, and then just how do you win this area majority game. Basically, you don't want artifact cards. They're bad. If you have too many, you lose, but you also want victory points. And so if you have 30 victory points, the game ends immediately and you win, or if you fill your blood tube, you win. So, but if you get to the end and King Arthur comes, it's the person with the most victory points remaining. So, I mean, it seems relatively straightforward. It's just how much asymmetry, how different is this, and are you going to like this over other area control games? I think definitely the action mechanic is cool, but it's how much does it stand out otherwise, besides the theme? Again, you've got all the big players here. You got King of Average, Quackalope, Board Game Coffee, Dice Tower, Man vs. Meeple, all the big ones right there. So it's not for lack of hype and exposure from the big channels, and it's almost 50% funded in day 1, so check it out. Next up, we have Castles of Burgundy. I mean, look at how beautiful this looks. These massive miniatures on the hex-based system, and then, oh no, wait, just kidding. It's Queen Games with their Kingdom Builder Extraordinaire Deluxe Super Magnificent box. I mean, Queen Games right here, somehow $87,000. And we're going to talk about this one for a second because, yeah, 212 plastic minis, 123 resin tokens, right? That's a lot of stuff. And Kingdom Builder, you know, on an average day on the secondary market, you can get for 20 bucks. You get all 4 expansions. You could probably even get that for 50 or 60 bucks in the secondary market. So what are we doing here? We're giving you the option to get that for $250. Or if you have all 4 of those things, you can pay $150 just to get all the plastic and the upgrades. $150 freaking dollars. Are you freaking kidding me? This better be your favorite game of all time. Now, Kickstarter exclusive here, there's little variant scenarios that they're offering, which kind of sound really weird. The one they describe here is the volcano, where at the end of the game, you just randomly lose cities. Just choose a third of your cities or your towns and just lose them. But don't worry, you get to choose. I mean, plastic pre-production samples, resin tile abilities. They're larger in case you wanted a larger version of it as well. See? Larger terrain tiles. Larger cards. Larger board game sections with new art. Larger cards. And here you go, the cards that I mentioned that do the variants. So, do you want to pay $250 for this though? The only thing more ridiculous price-wise for crowdfunding this week is the one I'm going to talk about very briefly after this. But I mean, like I said, you could probably get a combination of someone selling most of these for 50 or 60 bucks. And yeah, I mean, there's new stuff everywhere, but the Emperor's Choice, more like the Emperor's new clothes, right? Why would I pay $250 for this? Again, I mean, I don't know. It's a ton of money for a game that better be your favorite. And $150 for upgrade kit, I don't know how you can sell that at retail. I have to think that that is only going to be, because, I mean, not even that. It's $150 here. You're going to try and sell this for $250 at retail. MSRP. Okay, $200 maybe. I don't see that being sold. Deluxeifications be darned. That's insanity in terms of deluxeifications. And that's it. I mean, there you go. That's all you need to know. There's the volcano thing that I was mentioning. Remove a third of your settlements from the board, rounding the loss up. Just, there you go. Okay, that's it. Kingdom Builder. It's out there. It's a known quantity. It's a great game. At least, I think so. I haven't actually played it. But I know people are very divided on it, but it's a good game for a good reason. But do you need all the other stuff, though? Personally, no, I'll pass. But if you're one of those 365 people right now, I guess good on you. But it's a lot of money. It's a lot of other games. It's a lot of other bling for a lot of other games. So there you go. Speaking of ridiculousness, I don't like talking about them, but it needs a rant and a ramble on this one. $700,000 for a TCG that came out of nowhere. Again, another TCG. This is like the 4th, 5th, 6th TCG that is going to raise over $1 million or a couple $100,000 this year, because TCGs are purely speculative troughs for people hoping that it turns into Flesh and Blood or it turns into Pokemon TCG. Pokemon TCG is the price it is because it's lasted the test of time, folks, and it has the huge IP behind it, and a huge amount of people still want it. This is never going to do that. So if you're buying it for that reason, wake up. The other ridiculousness of this, why I'm so hyped up on this one, not the $350 tier. Don't worry. I mean, that's fine. The booster boxes were out in a couple hours. But this bottom tier, $6,900 freaking dollars. All 10 are gone. But don't worry, you get 3 cases for that. 3 cases. You get 3 cases for $7,000. You're better off buying $7,000 worth of old Pokemon cards or sealed boxes of Pokemon cards on eBay right now and hoping that they go up in the next 5 to 10 years rather than this. That's all I'm going to say. If you're buying it for the game, great. But you're going to be one of like 2 people in your state that has the ability to play it. So don't kid yourself that this is going to be the next, Flesh and Blood. And I say that lovingly. The art is cool. There's a little bit of gameplay thrown in here at the bottom, but this is all speculative. Everyone is buying these for speculative reasons, not because they really, really think all of these are going to be super, super awesome TCGs. The average pledge is well over $1,000 right now. You don't spend that much money if, you think it's a good game. Anyway, and it's a TCG, so it's a random grab, so you don't even get everything necessarily that you want. Anyway, that's it. That's all I'm going to do. That's all I've got right now on that one. Second edition Pocket Landship No Man's Land. $16,000, 100% funded. 1,000% funded, actually. So what are you getting with this solo two-player cooperative, now dice and card game? This is an indie game for a reason. It's pocket, it's a small game. You're building, you're choosing, you're customizing your ship however you want to. And do you like that? And you're getting an expansion here as well for the two-player competitive version. How you beat your enemy mech better and even take out a big bad enemy base. 18 new cards, great. How do you actually play though? Now, classic 9-card version here is print and play, which is cool. So if you want to try it out beforehand, you can. It's roll dice, assign them, earn additional advantages for every mech you destroy. Again, this is one of those sort of button shy-esque games. If you're a fan of these, you check this one out. If you're not, this one's probably not going to sell you on it. But it's different because we don't see a lot of mech versus mech situations. So I give them credit for that. And it must be solid. I mean, you sold your 5,000 units that were around for the first run. And now, I mean, again, this is, indie game being indie game. You don't get 16 grand with 12 or 15 and $25 pledges unless you're doing something right, folks. So I am not the target audience for this. If you are a solo gamer, though, especially you like small box games or small card games, I think you check this one out. A few stretch goals, awesome. There you go. Indie. Love talking about them. Pocket Landship. Dungeon Maker, speaking of indie, 2/3 of the way there. Tile laying dungeon building game for 2 players. Now, that's an interesting combination there. 2 players, tile laying. Let's see what we got here. Now, it's a little bit of D&D, essentially. You're making your best dungeon, and you get points for doing so. Okay, 92 tiles, but how are you actually making said dungeon? Okay, yep. Making traps, making animals, $28. Making traps, monsters, stairways, encounters, whatever you want to call them, $28. So what are you getting, though? Let's see. Gameplay. 2-sided action tile flipped over. Blue side allows you to place tile. Green, purple, and you get to select one. That's interesting. That's an interesting mechanic. I like that, actually. Most common action is to place a new tile in your dungeon. You choose one of the ones that's face up, and you're choosing a side next to it that's already out. Okay. Has to be matched up. Makes sense. 5x5 grid, so a little king domino building there. You can't just build one way forever. Placing minions. What else are you doing? Move a tile, place a block tile, so matching up around there. Moving a minion around it. Swapping, so basically just actions. Okay. Give you a little speed run of how to build it there. And the rulebook is right there as well. A few videos. How do you score, though? Doesn't tell you how you win. Have it hopefully by the end of the year, though. Let's see. Did I miss that? Let's see. No, it just doesn't say that. You can check the rulebook out, though. So the rulebook basically just says game ends when one player lays their 25th tile, which is kind of weird if you just don't lay as many tiles. I mean, you think almost like an equal turn thing, especially with a 2-player game, or just most dungeon points. But how do you get dungeon points? It doesn't really say that on the, page as well. So again, shows you how to place the tiles, shows you what the actions do. Again, I'm assuming the points are going to be scored here somewhere. Swapping, reading down here. Benefits of moving a tile, tile types, it runs through all of those. Here, it basically tells you with the tile types how you're going to be scoring points here. When this is placed, for example, the water one, you get 1 point for every tile. If you have a puzzle tile, 2 points when placed. So, I mean, there's a lot of little things going along with each of the tile placements that you're doing. Okay. I mean, it's cool. It seems like a nice, solid indie game. Short, 2-player only. It's kind of a weird thing, but definitely check it out if you're interested. There you go. Hopefully it'll fund. It's got 23 days to go, so we'll see. Wombat Kombat, third of the way done. Unpeaceful strategic card game. Wombat Kombat. And I think this one is a relaunch, maybe? I don't really know offhand. I think. Let's check. Nope, first created. So, Wombat characters. Wombat Kombat. How to play. I remember looking at this one a while back, and I think I got delayed. Maybe that's why it's so familiar. Gather your folks, 3-on-3, and then just kind of battle back and forth is what it sounds like. I mean, poo tokens. I mean, again, it's just a little bit of a turnoff. I mean, it's a little bit of potty humor. I mean, unless it's meant to be like a direct kids, game, I can do without that. So, again, not a lot on the page of how I'm playing though, except for that. There's a rule book up here, I believe, card drafting. So that's the main mechanic though. How to play right there though. So, full teach, 10 minutes. I wish there was a little bit more on the page of what I'm actually doing. I mean, this is the bare bones essentials of what you're doing here, but it doesn't tell me how I'm using the cards. Okay. And Game Boy Geek has a video there that you can check out as well. One of 9 characters. So I'm assuming those are the 3 that you're gathering with you to then play cards to battle your opponent. So, okay. There you go. Another nice filler. Neo Troy Games. We'll see again. It's a third of the way there. 30 days to go. Let's go. Cards of the Dead. Almost fulfilled. About 80% of the way done. Zombie apocalypse type card game, essentially. 1 to 3 players in a zombie infested city. Take a look. Okay, all the cards. 45 minutes. Again, what are we doing here? Solo multiplayer. You can take in control of survivors. You have 3 days to get out, essentially. You also need to contain zombies who are infesting the city. Okay. So a little bit of an overview here. This is nice. Displaying cards from the city in the common piles according to the day. 3 actions before your turn ends, and then game carries out its actions, and you just gotta make it out. Okay. Okay. Steam key. Okay, so there's a video game Steam key. What's the price point on this, out of curiosity? With the Steam key, $26. I'm not sure how much else there is to it, but it says over 3 days, and you're going back and forth between your turn and the game's turn. Obviously, I mean, has some appeal. Now, whether or how much of that is the card game versus the Steam game, either way, though, I mean, it's well on its way to funding. Again, check it out if you're interested. Now we have Age of Steam Deluxe Expansions Volume 1, 2, and 3, which just has a ton of stuff in it. Again, it's 200% funded already in less than 24 hours. People that really like this heavy, really like the heavy. Now, I'm interested to see, because I see people rag on Kickstarters all the time with having 3,700 miniatures from a CMON game or a Mythic game, but do you really need 7, 6, 13 different expansion maps for a game like this? I don't really know. Do you play a game like this much? Is this the lifestyle equivalent game from a train style game? 21 different expansion maps? Deluxe style? New storage for all of them? I mean, there you go, but $64 for one expansion set, $48 for the other. And again, $48 for the third. I'm assuming there's going to be a bundle deal here. Let's see. Base game, that. All in is $250. Wooden locomotive, thing like that. Everything new, deluxe. Okay, everything new, 94. Wow, that's actually Volume 2, Volume 3. Is that Volume 1 too? Oh, Volume 1 must not be the new one. That's why. So $96 is $94. $94 is only $2 less than getting them separately. So that's not really that good of a deal. And it comes with 7 maps to begin with. Okay. I have no idea. What's surprising to me is everyone down below. Heavy cardboard here. Quackalope actually has a couple videos too. I didn't realize he was into this heavy. And then Quack & Co is actually down here as well, which, shortly their secondary channel where they collaborate and everything will be bigger than my whole channel as a whole. And so sort of laughing, sort of crying at the same time there. But again, I have no clue on what this looks like, how this plays, and this is just totally outside my wheelhouse. So I'll leave it up to you guys. How interested are you in having more Age of Steam? Last thing up, completely out of my depth, Heroes of the Bitter Harvest from Lock and Load Publishing. It's a module for the Lock and Load tactical series. Tactical level combat, sort of almost, I'm assuming, wargame-esque. I have no clue. I've never even heard of this system, but clearly other people have. I mean, it's got $9,000 of $24,000 funded, but this is the first day it was launched. So, yep, definitely more of a heavy war game, or war game-esque. Definitely outside of my ilk. I'll mention it because, I mean, there you go. But I have no clue what to say about this one, or how detailed, or where this compares, and the module, how it works in. So if you have any interest in war games or this section of things, check it out. I mean, the pledges right here are $90 though, just to get the quantity of this new game, which is not inexpensive, or $80 essentially, limited quantity award. Deluxe gets you $115 with an expansion. I have no idea. I have no idea. I'll leave it to all you wargamers who are following me. Check this out. Tell me if it's a good deal. Tell me if it's of interest in terms of what it offers and the rest of the lock and load tactical system. So there you go. But I wanted to mention it. Just launched on GameFound. Now let's do a couple quick updates real quick at the end of this video. Distant Skies. Sleeping Gods, $1.5 million, 6 days left. I am backer number 6,885. I'm keeping it. If you missed it, the latest unlock that was on the 28th of April included an expansion. So for $85, even with shipping included, it's going to be a better price than what you're going to pick it up at retail. And then even if you can't pick it up at retail for slightly less, if you're one of those people really edging out the last dollar or two, it's not going to probably be widely available. So you're going to have to sit on that pre-order button and smash it as soon as it becomes available, because if it's anything like the first one, it's going to be super hard. And even again, we've seen that the first one has not been widely available, and it's not even that much cheaper. And it's not one of those where you're going to drop off and have a huge drop off price, because you can get it even on this campaign for $80. Now, again, whatever you want to say with that, but I don't need the distant audio. I'm not probably going to get any of this other stuff, and that's okay. Now, I kind of wish they had a playmat for the second one, or can you use this one on the second one? I don't know. Mat for enemy cards. Oh, only for engaging combat? Nope. Battle mat. Nope, don't need that. I'm okay with that, though. Don't need this downtrack. Don't need the 3D resources. But I'll probably be keeping this pledge. That's my thoughts. Great Wall is going to be ending well before this video airs, but it's, really picked up at the end. 710,000 euros. Again, if I could play a copy of this, I would probably do it, but I can't invest this much, and I would honestly prefer the Meeple version of it, which they're not offering on this campaign, which again is fine. I'm a little surprised, though, that they didn't offer a whole lot new on this campaign, as Awakened Realms has done in the past, as we have really not seen them not do, essentially. So they're just making it more widely available, but they're doing the widely available miniature version, which, again, I have too many big plastic chunks of games that are sitting around already, and as a non-worker placement person, I can't risk this much money on a worker placement game that is going to be like the holy grail of worker placement games. That's going to cause me to keep it, so I just can't. I'm interested. I'd definitely play it if someone else in my game group got it or I had a chance to, but right now it'd be one of those where maybe I'd try and trade for the Meeple version on the secondary market. Uprising is doing really well. It's over double its original funding goal from the first campaign. They're doing some unlocks. They're doing some design your own stuff along with it. Over $500,000, 5 days left. They'll be ending before the next video next week. Here you go. The design of Sea Tower with us. Again, boom, there's my quote. Again, Nemesis Games, thank you. But it's, again, I stand by that. It's a 4X cooperative game where you're going against the AI system, you and your compatriots against both not only one, but also two. I would say this expansion, and there was some discussion on Board Game Geek, I would say if you're getting anything, I get the base game with the new expansion, rather than the Arch Nemesis, because this addresses some of my personal critiques. So again, I'm biased on that aspect. And I'm backing right there. I don't know, again, where, review copies and things like that. I probably should ask. Anyway, standees are awesome. Standees are the coolest standees, probably that have been put out in the market for any game. The only thing that probably comes close, these are slightly different because they're opaque, and the ones for maybe Vagrant Song come second, but those are more transparent. So again, take it for what you will. The asymmetric factions that you're getting in the new expansion are probably the best part about this, I would say. So it's also probably the hardest game in my collection. Hardest game I've probably ever played, especially from a cooperative sense. So there you go. Assault on Doomrock. I've been purposely avoiding this one because I've heard some good things about it, and I don't need to be spending any more money, as you can see already from the 2 pledges right there. And the other pledge that's on Kickstarter right now that I'm finishing up, that's going to be, finishing well before this video airs. And this is my type of game, and I'm just scared that I'm actually going to like it if I watch some of the videos. So I'm probably going to be looking at this one over the weekend to see if this right here, this core box with some stretch goals and things like that, are going to be interest to me or not. I don't know. I hope not. All the gameplay from this, I have no clue what this is, but again, I don't need the metal coins or the custom dice. So I wonder if this says gameplay content, but it's more than just gameplay content because it includes premium. So I would assume you can sort of a la cart. Yep, right there, 25 euros. So 25 plus 77, so 102. So, less money is less money. Take that for what you will. But I will be watching this one closely. Let me know in the comment section. How do you guys feel about this one? Give me some help on this one. Would I like this one? Would this be one up my ilk, or is this one that I should avoid? I don't know. Let me know, because you guys know, if you've been watching this channel long enough, you know my tastes. Would I like this one or not? Tell me, please. Last up is Last Light, and 4x in an hour. I don't know. $400,000 is amazing. 2 days left. I'm unfollowing because I don't need the updates. $170 though for all of these factions and all of these races. It reminds me more of Cosmic Encounter, with like the 37 different alien factions that you could do, and how different are they? That was my only concern. I don't know. It just doesn't have the appeal to me. It just doesn't have the appeal. I don't know why. I've just never been a big spacefaring person. Never been a big space themed person. I think some of the only stuff I have in my collection that's space themed is Star Wars. I got Rebellion sitting under here, under my microphone, but that's about the extent of it right now. And it's expensive for a 60-minute game with miniatures. It's $109 essentially. And the miniatures, again, they're deluxeified. Now you get some exclusives here, though. That's really interesting that they're doing a lot of exclusives. I find that kind of surprising, because I don't know how, Roy in the Dice Tower, and I never, you guys watch Dice Tower more than I do. Do Dice Tower, do they like exclusives? Do they rag on exclusives? I don't really know. I don't. And I would be interested to see, again, as a designer versus a consumer, your mileage may vary. Is it a game for everybody? No. Are people going to like it? Yeah, it's probably looking like a really solid game. So if it's for you, and if you have a 4X that you've never been able to get to play, this might be a better version of it. And I mean, again, it's one of those where if someone brought this out, I'd be happy to play it. But I don't think I'd be happy to spend $170 on it right now, me personally, because I would have a hard time getting it played in the first place. But it looks, again, I don't think it's a bad game. I think it looks very, very solid. I think a lot of people are going to be very, very happy with this. I just don't know, especially with the price point and the miniatures, that I would be one of those people. So I would be really looking at this like standard edition, even the standard edition. I'd be looking at just like a cardboard version. I'd be completely happy with a cardboard version. And I don't need 8 people. I'm never going to play with 8 people. And that's the other thing that's probably holding me up. And that was similar, I guess, in the sense of Stationfall. That's the one reason I didn't back Stationfall, was because, it's best at the higher player counts. And I rarely have 4 to 5. It's mostly 2, 3, some 4 in terms of player counts. So to say that a game is going to be really good at the 5 to 8 player count, then I can probably pass on it and wait to see where it goes. So there you go. That's it. That's the roundup this week. Little bit of summary at the end there. Hope you like that. Hope it was interesting. I didn't include the Dark Quarter, which is ending, literally hours after I film this. So that's going on as well. That's going to break $1 million, which, again, Lucky Duck Games, their investment into that app-based system, I think everyone sort of poo-pooed it when it came out. And I'll be honest, I was one of those people. I said, I don't know if this is going to hold out. Are they going to actually stay with it? They've stuck with it, and they're putting out solid things, and people like what they are getting. So that's... it's doing better than I thought it was going to do. Full disclaimer. I knew it was going to do good, but if you had told me prior to the campaign it was going to break $1 million, I would have said, really? Oh. Okay. There you go. That's it, though. Friday. Short-staffed at work today. It's going to be awesome. I'm, talking about that ahead of time, so we're going to be short-staffed. I already know that, so it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day. I'm going to be swamped while you guys are watching this, so can't make this stuff up. Okay. Have a great day. Stay classy. See you around. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you're backing. Would have had a couple more videos out this week. Would have had the what did I back for last month. Would have had the CMON shipping video. Disclaimer, I am doing that one. My spin on things. So tune in for that one. I would have had a few other reviews out. But yeah, things pop up and things get slotted around. So there you go. Hopefully a couple more reviews next week. I know I keep saying that every week. Eventually. One a week. One a week is the goal, at least. Thanks. See ya. Gather your combats.